Hey everybody, Kelly, Flip with Kelly here, coming at you. How y'all doing today? So, yeah, today I'm going to continue on with the Tim Ferriss Impossible Questions. Try to, uh, gonna be applying that to wholesaling real estate. So, um, I believe we're on number 10 here. No, we're not. We're on number 9. So I gotta reread all this stuff. But what if I created my own real world MBA? So I don't even have anything written up on this. Let me see if I can bring this up quick. Okay, he just redirected me to another website here. You got how to create your own world MBA. He's got a picture of a Monopoly board, which indicates real estate. So, that's a good thing. Pop up, of course. I don't even know what the hell an MBA is, so I'm trying to figure that out. You'd think you could say what it was at the start, unless I missed it. I might create your own MBA or graduate program. Master of Arts in Creative Writing, $12,000 a year. This is an older book, so angel investing. All right, so I didn't get a whole lot of this out of this one. But yeah, if you want to create your own graduate program, take that for whatever it's worth. I don't know, probably more education on YouTube, maybe a coaching program or something. Tam, he's always so big on definitions too. Okay, here's a little thing. It's fun to think about getting an MBA. They're attractive for many reasons. Developing new business skills, developing a better business network. So I wonder if it's a master's. Let's Google it once. Online MBA program. Degree 100% online. Get your MBA. Management consulting. What does MBA degree mean? Yeah, that's what I thought it was. Well, I was thinking it was Master's Business Association, but it's Master's Business Administration. Postgraduate degree. focused on advanced business and management principles. Well, I love business. Design, develop leadership and managerial expertise across various fields like finance. I love finance. Marketing. There's wholesale. Operations and strategy. Preparing you for any industry. Okay. Alright, so kind of sounds like the business finance things, which is awesome. So Tim is saying, can he create his own MBA? So, I mean, to me, it sounds more like a marketing course, and that's something that I should do and eventually will do. I just have no interest in doing that right now. I prefer these YouTube videos. So, well, we explored it. Don't hurt to get new ideas. And we went over some of the things to become a millionaire the other day, so that's kind of finance-ish. But I guess as far as like leadership goes, some of that type of stuff is like if you hop on the phone with a seller, you want to let them do a lot of the talking, but if you can, try to lead them in a direction or guide them. So essentially, call a seller up. The number one thing you want to determine is their motivation. If you don't have a motivated seller, then does it really matter if you go into the condition of the house? I've talked to a lot of different sellers, tens of thousands of calls. Back when I used to do cold calling, I still cold call, but I don't do as much as I used to. But so you get a lot of when I ask them, oh, if we could buy this, if we could buy your property, when would you like to sell it? Grab my lead sheet here. So I'll share my lead sheet with you here. Just something to kind of help me stay a little bit organized. And I still want to revamp this because I find that when I'm talking to a seller, they're talking so fast. I got everything on here. It's just I think I got to make it a little more obvious so I don't have to search for it when they're talking, so I can write faster. So a lot of times I'm just ending up, I got everything on here, but I end up writing things where they're not supposed to be. But I get there. So at the top, I remind myself to kind of chew the fat with them, bullshit with them, and to mirror the seller. So you can do that if you want to. By mirroring a seller, it kind of means like, if they're kind of a rough talker, then you can use that similar style, kind of like mirror it back or make it kind of rhyme back with what they're doing. So you don't want to say exactly every single syllable, word, or letter, but if they're talking loud, you can raise your voice up a notch from what you're used to or whatever. If they're talking about dogs and you have a dog, you can talk about a dog. So, Ford, that's, what is that? Family, occupation, recreation, and just commonality things that most humans have in common. What can you solve for them, what problem, and then funnel them down. So start with motivation, and then you can funnel down into the condition. But you get their name, phone number. For email, I always ask, what's a good email we could send an offer to? Well, they're going to want the offer, so if they have an email. Now, some of these really old people, like in their 80s or whatever, some of them might not do email. So I ask for it, but I don't never press for it. And even like if somebody calls me, I don't always give my email out, but most of the time they will. Because most people have an email, and most people will. Hang on, I'm going to grab another cup of coffee. I'll be right back. All right. Gotta have my cup of Joe in the morning here. Anyways, yeah, most people will. But yeah, getting back to what I was saying about the leadership is sometimes you gotta. It's all right to chew the fat with them a little bit. There's that pleasure talk, building rapport, but then you eventually want to transition out of that and just say, well, hey, we could probably talk about each other all day here, but and then when you switch over to business mode, then try to keep it into the business side of things. And then if the seller's kind of like, well, I want to do it this way and do it that way, it's like sometimes you gotta be direct with them and just give them that straight answer, right? Because just like the seller, he drove me down to the title company the other day, and he asked title, hey, can you cut me 2 checks at closing? And they came back with a pretty straightforward answer, like this is the way we just cut 1 check is the way we do things. And they said it nicely, but they said it firm. This is, I can't remember exact wording they used, but and the seller knew they weren't beating around the bush about it, so he's like, oh, okay, what's he gonna do? You want your $185,000 check, or you don't? This is what they're offering. So I guess he wasn't gonna quarrel about the two checks or 3 checks or whatever you wanted too much. But yeah, it's part of being a leader sometimes. Doesn't mean you gotta tell people what to do, but you gotta kind of keep them on the straight and narrow. And this is our process, and you kind of suggest, or this is how we do things type of thing, and this is what we expect, and this is what we need to be done here. This is the way it's going to go. So maybe you can ask, and if they give you too much pushback, well, then maybe you got to give them a directive. You'll have to figure out the wording yourself, but anyways, email if they want their cash offer, and And then M is for motivation, so that's the most important thing. Like, why are you selling? So I get a lot of sellers. Why are you selling? Oh, when are you selling? Or if we can buy it, when would you like to sell it? That's what I ask them. And some of them say, well, it depends on if the price is right. Well, so sometimes the motivation comes out when you're asking them when you want to, if we could buy it, when do you want to sell it? And if it depends on the offer, well, then right there is your first clue. They're not very motivated. So, why are you selling? Well, depends on what you're offering. So you get answers like that, and that's when you want to kind of transition into getting off the phone, because you can either focus your time, spend your time with the tire kickers, if that's what you want to do all day, is go outside and kick a tire with some seller. I think your foot would get sore after a while. So if that why, and I guess maybe you could ask them, another one that triggers it off a lot of times is that when. But be digging on that motivation, and if it just ain't there, then first of all, you don't want to waste your time with that seller, because you could be calling the next seller that's going to sell their house to you, and they are motivated. So where do you want to spend your time? So motivation, time, when do you want to sell it, price, and condition. So do you really need to know how much they want for it? What their asking price is if they're not motivated? Probably not. But once you do determine their motivation, and maybe the first phone call, that's it. You're just determining motivation. Getting to know them, and mainly determining their motivation, and then maybe that second call you go into the condition and stuff like that. So, why are you selling? If you can't get the motivation out of that, then, if we could buy it, when would you like to sell it? If the seller's living in the house, then they gotta think, well, I gotta find an apartment to move into or whatever. If they don't have a plan to move somewhere, which is fine, they might have to figure that out. But it's just another way to, depending on their answer, to figure out that motivation. So I'll say it one more time. Okay, why are you selling, Mr. Seller? Or if you don't mind me asking, why are you selling? And, well, it depends on what your offer is. Well, that's not motivation. It's like, if you're not living in the house and maybe your child is and they're not paying the mortgage and you're tired of paying the mortgage, that's a good reason. Not depending on what you got to offer me. So if you can't determine from the why are you selling, if you can't get to the bottom of it, or get an answer that sounds like they got good motivation, you could, as a follow-up question, just say, if we can buy it, when would you like to sell it? And that might give you your answer of their motivation level also. So focus on those two, and if you determine the motivation, then you got a choice to make depending on your process or what you got time for. You can either, if you think, okay, this could be a motivated seller here, high motivation, or maybe medium, not like low or no motivation, then you can either choose to go into condition and the timeline and the price while you're on the phone yet with them, or you found out they're motivated, then you can do a follow-up phone call with them another time. So those are the two choices. Continue on with your questions. Condition, timeline, price, if they're motivated, or on a separate phone call, on a follow-up phone call, go into those condition, timeline, and price. So, but if the motivation ain't there, number one, you don't want to waste time on them, because you want to spend your time talking with motivated sellers, and number two, you don't want to put them in your CRM. Then your CRM's loaded up with thousands, tens of thousands of tire kickers. Why would you want to do that? That's just, it's the same thing as tire kicking, you know? Because why are you putting them in your CRM? To follow up with them. Why would you follow up with wanting to kick more tires? So just focus on the motivation, the quality leads, the hot leads, and maybe the warm leads. Don't put any cold leads in the CRM. And if they've got low or no motivation, then I suppose you could still follow up with the low motivation. But if they got no motivation, then so. All right, well, that's enough for today. Hopefully you found some value, and smash the like button, subscribe, and I'm gonna get to marketing, talking to sellers. Make sure that you're making offers. So are you doing, what's your are you doing cold calling, texting, or direct mail, or a combination thereof? Make sure when you're starting out, only do one of those three. And how many sellers are you actually contacting? You got them on the phone, and then you want to build a little rapport, crack a joke maybe, find out the motivation, and then get on the appointment. You know, do you want to sell or not? Get on the appointment and see if you can get their asking price. If not, condition them, make sure they're ready before you make your offer. You know, find out what their main objective is. Some people are ready for that offer and some aren't. Don't necessarily have to do the hard sell, but you can give them some pushback to keep them going down that funnel. And if you give them some pushback and they're still not ready, then if they're not ready, then you got to get them when they're ready. So just follow up. But yeah, be making offers when they're ready. And the more offers you make, eventually you get a contract, and then the contract will hopefully lead to the closing. Stay in touch with your sellers once a week. And for me, on some of these deals, when the title reaches out to me, or the seller reaches out to me, or the buyer reaches out to me, and if they're not reaching out to me, I'm reaching out to them. But if they reach out to me, I'm the middleman. So I'm usually I will choose to text people or email them. Sometimes a phone call will get it done faster, because you can, if it's something you get a text back and forth too much. But I usually don't do a whole lot of calling. Now, if the seller is a caller, sometimes I'll just call them back, especially if they're not responding to my text. So I'm always constantly trying to cater to the seller. If the seller's more of a caller, a lot of times I will call them. Sometimes I just text them because that's what I want to do, or email them. But and then if it is something kind of complicated, because I can say, well, I send this text, they might be a little confused by what I'm saying. Instead of sending 8 texts back and forth, sometimes it's just faster to do that phone call. It is a little more personable too, so just kind of depends. But and then yeah, yesterday we we got a property under contract a few days ago, and then yesterday the seller calls me up in the morning and he's like, got a water leak. And I'm like, water leak? He says, yeah. And the guy's 80 years old. He's a tired landlord, but he's 80 years old. He had heart surgery a couple years ago. He's got a doctor's appointment coming up in a couple days for his pacemaker. Now, I'm sure this is probably the truth, but is he using that as a little bit of an excuse? Well, maybe, but there's a reason why he's selling it too. He probably wouldn't be selling it if he wasn't in this predicament, right? So I'm like, well, and he's like, well, you gotta, can you come out there and shut the water off? There's a leak. And I'm like, well, once, right, that's your responsibility. I said, once we close, it'll be our responsibility. And he's like, well, my heart, and then he's like, well, I gave you a good deal on the property, which you did give us, an okay deal. Obviously we locked it up for that. Cash buyer agreed to the price, but and then he's like, well, I gave you a good price on the deal, and then he's like, well, I don't know, he might have a handful of other properties that he owns, and he was talking about possibly selling those to us. And he's like, well, why should I sell these other properties to you if you're not willing to help me out? So I reached out to the cash buyer because he's got a flipping crew, project manager, the whole nine. And so at first he's like, no, and then he reluctantly is like, okay, I'm sending somebody out there. And then the guy went out there, I guess, thousands of gallons of water from this leak. So then the cash buyer is kind of like, well, because I had an assignment fee of $10,000, and he's like, would you take $5,000? And I'm like, yeah. So now my assignment fees went from $10,000 down to $5,000, but it's not zero. So yeah, life's full of surprises. Got the water shut off, so it won't be thousands more gallons. This is a squatter situation, and the heat quit working. So when the heat quits working, water pipes freeze. Now, if the water's off, the squatters might leave because it's hard to live in a place without water. But so that might motivate the squatter. But yeah, it's life in general is full of problems or challenges, if you want to look at it positively, more on a positive note. And real estate wholesaling that's a problem city there. So serious problems here. Anyways, I've done a couple deals with this cash buyer. He's awesome, and I'm sure we'll be doing many more deals together. So we got to make this a win-win-win, and I'm always keeping that in mind. And when something sounds fair, willing to do the give and take. Now, I could have went back to the seller and asked him to take a haircut, and I just didn't want to go there because he already come down quite a ways. And I mean, I could have. And now we got the assignment of contract signed. I suppose I better get that deadline written down and make sure that that $5,000 non-refundable deposit is delivered. I think that's my job to do that. Otherwise, the contract's not valid. So I'm gonna go write that date down, and I wonder if I could just autopilot that, and well, I don't know, it puts it on the title company, so I'll probably just write down the expiration date day before and email them or something. That'd probably be the way to do it. So, all right, well, this is Kelly. You guys, yeah, if you found any value, smash the like button, subscribe, and we'll keep more in the day in the life of a wholesaler coming at you. And this will be deal number probably 13 or 14 for us, for me. And I've had multiple partners. My cash buyer is a partner. My JV partners are a partner. You got customers, partners, people you work with to make money, right? So, yeah, and I guess major metro cities are great, but don't be afraid to go an hour out and look for some of those some cities that got decent population, along with the price point that's in that sweet spot. So definitely not above 450,000 unless in that area the median home price is higher than that. And check out the median home price and just see if you can see if that's going to be around maybe 180 to 250 is kind of a sweet spot for you. But I do deals in cities that are 300 plus, so it doesn't necessarily mean that it can't work, because a house, if it's motivated, even in those areas where the price point's above 250, you can still make. I've made 20 grand on a deal already, and you can make. I partnered on another deal where we did. I think it was right around 15 or 17K, and I was just starting out back then, so I got 5,000 off that deal. So those deals are able to be found too. It's just maybe they're a little fewer and further in between, and when you don't have that population and the price point to work for you. But yeah, this is Kelly. You guys have yourself a great day. Kelly out.